What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. And this is that time when we're going to talk about every movie that I watched in the month of December 2023. So this will wrap up that year. And next time we'll be talking about 2024, what I watched. So let's go ahead and get started. So we got a good chunk of movies here to talk about. Let's not waste any more time with it. First movie I watched in December 2023 was Renaissance, a film by Beyonce. My wife and I went down to see it. The atmosphere wasn't as great as I thought it would be, but that's only because we went and saw it on a Sunday afternoon, so everybody had that wanted to party in the aisles and all that good stuff that we heard about. They did that on Friday night, Saturday night probably. But still, nonetheless, we're fans of Beyonce, so we had a good time with it. 4 stars. We got to see some behind-the-scenes stuff with it and some great performances. So if you're a fan of Beyonce, check it out. If you're not, don't even worry about it. Let's just keep moving on. Next movie, Justice League War, and this is a DC animated flick. It serves as a, I don't know, the umpteenth origin story for the Justice League. You know, them really just coming together. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, Cyborg, Green Lantern, all of these characters are in this movie. They got to come together because Darkseid has come and they need to team up to stop him. So I thought it was handled really well, and 4 stars for me on Justice League War. So a good start to December. So I'm really being kind and generous, and that continues with the next movie, Bad Santa. This was one I did on Movie Swap with the monkey. He had never seen it before, so you can get all of his in-depth thoughts on it, as well as lots of other things that we talk about. And for me, it's a 4 star movie, so you can get more of my thoughts also. Let's go ahead and move past that and go to the next movie, Godzilla Minus One. And I mean, the hits keep on coming in early December for me. Godzilla Minus One, you see here, I got 4.5 stars. It was a tad long, maybe keeping it from that 5th star, but otherwise, magnificent movie. Godzilla looked great, and more than that, most importantly, the human characters were just amazing. I really cared about them, which is something that has not happened in any of the MonsterVerse movies, the American ones that we've gotten, from starting with Godzilla 2014 and then Kong Skull Island, which I really do love that one. Um, King of Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. Those are all fun movies. Well, I take that back. The first Godzilla is not fun at all. But those are fun. That's a fun franchise. But I don't care about any of the characters there. Whereas in Godzilla Minus One, I really did get into the human story. And I thought that was done excellently on top of all the amazing things they did with the visual effects on a minuscule budget. You know, there's some debate whether it's more or less than $15 million. Either way, it's a fraction of what American movies are doing and looks just as good, if not better. So 4.5 stars for me on Godzilla Minus One. Here's where we got some problems now. Good Burger 2. I watched this one and almost none of the jokes worked for me. The story was horrible. The acting was annoying. I can't say it was bad per se for most of the characters because I'm familiar. I have never really sat through the whole Keenan and the whole Good Burger, the first movie, but I'm familiar with it, and I'm familiar with Keenan and Kel, of course, and they're doing their shtick. So I can't say that it's necessarily bad acting, but it was annoying. Since it's not funny, and I didn't care for the story, it was just a horrible experience for me. Half a star. Only reason it got half a star because I couldn't give it 0 on Letterboxd. So that's where I am on Good Burger 2. Moving on, Candy Cane Lane. This was a Christmas movie. Eddie Murphy, and interestingly enough, it started off really well. I mean, you see Tracy Ellis Ross here as his wife, and he's trying to win. Eddie Murphy's character, he's trying to win the neighborhood uh, house decorating contest, and he basically sells his soul more or less. This is how the story plays out. You know, to win the contest, and then things go haywire from there. The first half of the movie I thought was pretty good, and then we got into the middle, and one event happens and it's done really poorly, and then the rest of the movie just kind of goes downhill from there. So in the end, I'll keep it at 2.5 stars. So it almost worked, just didn't. It just didn't work. So that's where I am on that one. Next movie is Inside. This is a movie I watched on For Movie Swap with Celeste De La Cabra. Uh, they recommended this movie to me. I had never seen it before. If you look over here, there's no score. And truth be told, typically I don't like scoring movies. I do it just kind of a easy, so you can have an easy idea of whether I like the movie or not. Um, this movie I decided not to grade, and it's because when I finished watching it, I didn't know how I felt about it. And if I put a star rating on it now, it would be a high rating. So I'm gonna even go ahead and go up to 4 stars on it, and let's go ahead and just put it there. Let's do it officially now. Um, but it is a hard watch. At least for me, it was. Our main character this is a Christmas movie, believe it or not, and our main character, she's a young lady. She loses her. This is not the main character actually. This is the antagonist. This is the bad guy. So our main character, her husband is killed or fiance is killed in a wreck. Yeah, her husband, they were married. Right before, or a few months before she's to have the baby, she does go on and have the child, and then, or right, I no, she does not have the child. She's about to give birth soon, but it's Christmas Eve, and this woman comes along and is really trying to take the baby. And yes, the baby is still inside mom, and we get a whole bunch of uncomfortableness there from for the rest of the movie. And there were points where I was just really just balled up in a fetal position watching this movie because it was tough to watch, but it is an excellently done movie. It is definitely a good one, but not one I'll probably go back to. Though, as I told Celeste, I'll probably watch the American remake just to see how bad they screwed it up. But 4 stars for me on Inside. If you're really looking for something, this is a French horror movie, by the way. So if you're familiar with French horror, you know they get to do some extreme stuff, and this is no exception. So yeah, if you're into extreme horror, definitely check out Inside. The movie that I had Celeste watch was Tangerine, and another 4 star movie for me. If you want to hear Celeste's thoughts and both of our thoughts really on this and Inside, yeah, go ahead and check out that movie swap. And this is also a Christmas movie in case anyone didn't know. Let's move on to the next movie, which is Old Dads. And this was the Bill Burr movie. I think he directed. He directed this one. Yeah, he directed it actually. I'm a fan of Bill Burr as a comedian, and you see here Bokeem Woodbine and I always forget his name, but yeah, Bobby Cannavale. So, and I think that's how you say it. If I screw it up, let me know. Yeah, they're basically old guys trying to get their mojo back. It's basically what it amounts to. Yeah, it's had its moments here and there. Overall, I'd say a 2.5 star movie by the end. Um, I think the messaging was muddled is what the deal is because it's really three guys bemoaning how soft society has become and how eh, things are how they're not allowed to be as masculine as they used to be. Now, that's really the gist of the movie, but the way they carry out that messaging at the end gets kind of muddled, as I said, because they're still making a movie in 2023 in this case, and still trying to mesh their ideas with 2023 ideals. So it didn't quite work out the way they wanted it. 2.5 again for me. So it almost worked, just not quite. Next movie, Leave the World Behind, and this is one. I have 4 stars on it now. Rewatch. Interestingly enough, I think could go either way. I could bump this all the way up to maybe 5 stars, or I could drop it back down to 3 as I find holes in what they're doing, or I go back again, like I said, see that there aren't that many holes and find more depth. And I'm looking forward to that happening, to seeing which way this movie goes. But as it stands, I really did enjoy this ambiguous ending and all. So I will warn people, if you're not into ambiguous endings, this is not the one for you. Not necessarily ambiguous, but almost purposely unsatisfying. Let me put it that way. And what we have here, we got Julia Roberts here, and her and Ethan Hawke is her husband, and they go to an Airbnb, the really nice house that they're at. They're trying to get away, vacation, and the owner of the house, who's Mahershala Ali, and his daughter, and I'm gonna screw up her name. I know Mahalia Harold. I think that's how you say her name. They show up and basically let Julia Roberts and her husband know that the world has gone to hell outside of this estate, and we basically watch and see what's happening and how it affects them and all the goings on. So I really did enjoy this movie. It was intriguing. There's not a lot of action in this movie, so if you're, it's dialogue heavy. So I understand when people say that it's kind of boring and it drags, but it works for me. 4 stars. Next movie was Scrooged. So yeah, I was trying to get into some Christmas movies like everybody else, and I had never seen Scrooged. So I decided to finally go ahead and take that plunge. And a lot of people hail it as a Christmas classic, and I thought it was okay. It was pretty good. I liked it. 3 stars. It was basically another take on the whole Ebenezer Scrooge story, of course, A Christmas Carol, and like I said, it was okay. My big issue is I never really got into Bill Murray's character. I never really liked him at almost at any point in the movie, and he just was in not in a way that is not in a way that I do with other Scrooge characters, because other Scrooge characters you're not supposed to like them, and as the movie progresses, you start to feel more sympathy for them, and then at the end it all turns around, and I thought the way they did it here just wasn't as funny as they were going for, and it never really worked for me. So I just couldn't really get with that with the movie like that much. Karen Allen I thought was pretty good in the movie. I thought she was probably one of my favorite characters in the movie. So I'll to call her the saving grace of the film. But yeah, 3 stars for Scrooge. Not something I could see rushing out and watching again. Of course, if somebody wants to watch Scrooge, that's fine. It's cool. But not really anything where I'm like, oh, that was a Christmas classic. I'm gonna watch that every year, because that's not gonna happen. North Hollywood was the next movie I watched. This is not a Christmas movie, and in this case, as we see, we got he. Oh, okay, yes, okay. It took me a second. I'm sorry. It took me a second to remember exactly what this movie was, and reading the synopsis uh, was a bare minimum of help. But it says he wanted to be a pro skater. Yeah, he's trying to be a skateboarder, a professional skateboarder, and um, this is his friend group, and they go out skating every day. And they're kind of known in the neighborhood as skaters, but then there's another set of guys who have some professional skateboarders and in that group, and this is our main character right here, and he finds himself uh, drawn to that group, and he has a connection to an outside friend, to another friend who's not pictured here, and he gets in with that group and starts hanging around. Of course, this rubs his actual friends the wrong way, and he's kind of at a crossroads, as far as you know who's he gonna be, who's he gonna be with, and then of course there's the home drama. We talk here about the father, but that's really secondary. His dad just doesn't understand um, the life that he's trying to lead, and we get that in a lot of movies where even in real life, if you're not trying to be a doctor or a lawyer, your parents are looking at you like, okay, can you make money doing this? Is this going to help for your future? So we get a lot of that as far as him and his dad is concerned. Really, really well done film. Um, 3.5 stars, as you see, for me. I'm trying to remember where I watched it, if this was Hulu or Stars. I think it was Hulu. I saw this movie. It might have been Prime. Hulu or Prime. It was one of the two. So, but North Hollywood, if you're a skateboarder, definitely check it out. If you're not, it's fine. Definitely watch it still, because it's a good movie. And like I say to people all the time, skateboarding is a sport. Sports movies, the best sports movies, or good sports movies, are not about the sport that's in the movie. It's about the people. And this is definitely about the person. Next movie was about a bunch of people. This is Asteroid City. Wes Anderson's latest, and as you can see here, I only have 2 stars on it. I actually am a Wes Anderson fan. I do like his movies. Um, so this is not a knock, not one of those people who like, oh, Wes Anderson is, I hate his movies. This is not that because I do like his movies. I think this movie though was still too much Wes Anderson, if I may. It's all style, and I didn't get the substance. Substance didn't really come through for me, mainly because the story dragged. And one of the things that Wes Anderson is actually pretty good at is getting us to care about characters who don't give us a lot. If you're familiar with his style, meaning his characters don't give us a lot in the way of emotion, the way we would expect from movies. We get characters a lot of times staring deadpan into the camera almost and just flatly saying lines, and that is his style. That's what he has all of his actors do. It's not like he's getting terrible performances. He directs them to do that, and he still manages to make us care about these people. Is his real? That's his superpower. He can have them just stare into the camera, speak blankly, not and have a static background, just with the colors or little things indicating what we should be thinking about and how we should feel. But in this case, I don't think it worked. It just came across as just as almost like a knockoff Wes Anderson. Like just you know, it didn't have the feeling that I expect from him from his movies. And it's a weird thing to say because of the way his movies are presented. Like I said, you don't think that there's any emotion there when you're looking at it, but if you're paying attention, you do start to empathize with the people on the screen. And I never really got to that point with Asteroid City. So 2 stars from me on this one. Next movie is a movie called Bingo Hell, and I was not expecting to really like this movie, but I did. 3.5 stars, and we see our main character here. She is amazing in this movie, and yes, that is Adriana Barraza. She is fantastic, as you can see her from filmography. She's been in a lot of things here. She got Thor. She was definitely in Blue Beetle. Loved her in that. Amortis Perros. Definitely see that movie. That is an amazing movie. Of course, I will caution you if you're a dog lover, skip it completely. Drag Me to Hell. She was yeah. So all these movies she's been in, and this is really the only one that I think I've seen that she was the lead character. And what we get here is we get a tale about ageism, about gentrification, um, about aging, um, and about friendship and loyalty and even patriotism in some forms. And it's fantastic. She is a woman. They live in this area called Oak Springs, this neighborhood called Oak Springs, and it was once a strong, vibrant neighborhood, and now it's mostly older folks, and all they do is they go to bingo and just play. That's their main thing. They hang out at bingo, and we got a guy who takes over the bingo hall, and he's not a nice guy. Let me put it this way. And things start happening. People start dying. So it's almost like it's almost a slasher movie as well. And of course, she kind of is trying to figure things out because nothing. It just doesn't seem right to her. And yeah, she happens to keep walking in on people who've been brutally murdered. So and I'm laughing because it's a really fun movie, but it does slyly have some things to say. But even if you miss everything that the movie's trying to tell you, it's still really fun. So 3.5 stars on Bingo Hell. Check it out if one of those nights where you kind of looking for light horror because it's not scary. One of those you're looking for a light horror, maybe some gore and just have a laugh. Check out this one. Next movie is here we go. Kevin Hart and Chris Rock headliners only. It was a documentary about the show that they did recently in Madison Square Garden together, where they were co-headliners, and it's not a comedy special. It's about the coming together of that comedy of that event. So don't go in there looking for, a performance from each of them. You get clips, here and there of them doing their thing, but it's mostly a kind of origin story for both guys. It's like, how did they get to the point where they are, and how did this, tour come together? So 3.5 stars from me. And if it had a little more comedy in it, a little more performance, I probably would have bumped it up to 4. But as it is, good watch. Next movie is a movie I keep watching with kids at school. This was close to Christmas time, close to us, getting out for that break. And during those last days or two, we things like Christmas performance at the school and Christmas parties and all that. So it's not really a lot of work going on those last few days before Christmas. So we, had watched some movies, and this is the one we watched. We watched yesterday. I had seen this movie before. It's 2.5 stars for me as an adult. The kids like it a little more. If you ask them, that's probably a 3.5, 4 star movie. And well, actually, you know what? If you ask a lot of them, it's probably a 5 star movie. If you're not familiar with the movie, it's basically you can see our two parents, Jennifer Garner and Jenna Ortega is her daughter. This is an early role for her, and Edgar Ramirez is in the movie, and the kids, they're just used to mom saying no all the time, and things are kind of not going as well as they hoped relationship wise with the kids. So it is someone tells them about yes days, which is where parents have to say yes to everything the kids want to do that day, and this is about that day. It's okay, it's fine. So yeah, 2.5 stars on that one. Next movie up was Black Christmas from 2019. And I have 2 stars on here, so no, I did not like this movie. It did not work. Um, but I'm not going to tell you that it didn't work because it's woke. That's what everybody seems to say about this movie. That's not woke. I mean, I get it. I understand. I'll say this again, and I've said it before. It's not that it doesn't work because it's woke. It doesn't work because the way it gets across that wokeness or whatever it's trying to get across is ham-fisted. It's terribly done. It's just not a good story. And on top of that, it's got the name Black Christmas, but this is not Black Christmas. The original Black Christmas and this one don't have all that much in common other than being about a sorority. Uh, the stories are not the same. And that said, to be honest with you, I don't even like the original Black Christmas, and I saw it just recently for the first time, and it wasn't a great film for me, but I didn't really care for that one that much either. It's better than this one though, so I'll say 2 stars here for this version of Black Christmas. I haven't seen the one in the middle. I think it was 2006 or something. I haven't seen that one yet, which I heard was really good. So I do want to check that one out. Next up on the list for me was Bye Bye Barry. This is a documentary about Detroit Lions superstar, iconic running back Barry Sanders. 4 stars for me. If you're a football fan, check it out. This one is about the guy also, so yeah, you can definitely check it out and see how good it is. But if you're not into football, it's probably going to be hard to get into it. But yeah, I am a big football fan, and he was one of my favorite players of all time. So yeah, 4 stars for me on Bye Bye Barry. The next movie is It's a Wonderful Knife, and I had a good time with this one. This was a fun movie here. I the whole killer thing was kind of, yeah, I knew who that was, but it was still fun along the way, and definitely recommend it if you're looking for a Christmas themed horror movie. So 3 stars for me on It's a Wonderful Knife. Next movie up was Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This was another theater trip. And I'm actually going to drop this down because the more I think about this movie, the more I dislike this movie. So I'm actually going to drop this down all the way to 2 stars. So with the issue, again, is they did something that they really should not have done with this movie. And they had they had Amber Heard in the movie. And if you're familiar with it, you know that Amber Heard is she had the whole controversy. She had the whole abuse thing with her and Johnny Depp. going on, and found out that she was as much the aggressor as she was the victim. Which is which, depend on who you believe. And there was outcries for her to be fired from the film. Well, they didn't fire her from the film, and they didn't. They could have done two things. They could have fired her and just recast the role, because that's done all the time, or they could have just went with however the role was originally written, and let it play out as it may. Well, it seems like they did something in between, which is the worst thing, which is they kept her in the movie, but then they cut around her as much as possible. And so it gave the story this whole herky-jerky feeling. By the end of the movie, it just didn't feel like an organically flowing story. It was just stop and go kind of storytelling. Big gaps seemed to be in it. Parts where she probably should have been interacting with her husband. She plays Aquaman's wife, of course, and the baby. And the baby, speaking of which, the baby could have not been in the film at all, and it wouldn't have made a difference to the story. They tried to push this whole Aquaman and his family thing, and there is a narrative for that should be told, but they told it in the worst way possible. So it was just a miss for me on Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The story with the brother worked out pretty well. I thought that was handled decently, not great, but decently. And the rest of the plot, Black Manta was not good in this movie. He went that old route where he's uh, he's summoning another bad guy to take over and do more things. So his whole revenge plot kind of got lost. His whole deal at the start was he wanted to get revenge on Aquaman, and then that kind of gets lost in with what he's trying to do. Why not just go get revenge on Aquaman? So it was just like I said, it's a miss. 2 stars for me on Aquaman. Uh, Next up is A Christmas Story. I'll just say it's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. One of my favorite movies, period, of all time. 5 stars. Let's move on. The Super Mario Brothers was next up. I finally got to see Super Mario Brothers, and I really had a blast with this movie. As you can see here, I put 4 stars on it. Guys, it's just fun. The story's it is what it is. It's okay. But it's just fun, and I'm not a huge gamer. Like, I played Super Mario Brothers the first game, and haven't played much of anything else Mario related. Of course, I played Donkey Kong back in the day too. Of course, um, so a lot of the Easter eggs and stuff flew by my head. I didn't get the nods to the games, not nearly as much as other people did, but I still had a blast watching it. It was still fun. It just worked. So 4 stars, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. I just had a good time with it. Next movie was Thanksgiving, another one I just had a good time with. 3.5 stars for me on Thanksgiving. This is the story's okay. The story's pretty good. We people just went crazy on Black Friday one year. A bunch of people died, and and then next year we got a serial killer on our hands, and we got to figure out who's the serial killer and why, which death are they mad about. And you can kind of figure that out as it goes on, and that's okay. But the kills were just so much fun. And that's what you watch a slasher movie for. I'm not a fan of Eli Roth, who directed, but this was one of his best for me. 3.5 on Thanksgiving. Finally finished off December and the year of 2023 with my last trip to the movie theater of the year, and it was to see The Color Purple, the remake, the musical. And this movie was fine. It was pretty good. I liked it. The songs were great. I had a great time with it. The cast did an excellent job. They were doing their best. It's just that the structure of the story, and making it a musical, it didn't quite work. I get it for a Broadway play, which this is actually based on more so than the novel. Um, I, but as far as a movie goes, uh, they stripped away a lot of the edge, a lot of the harshness was kind of stripped away for this movie. It's there, but it's kind of, it's softened. Everything in this movie is kind of sugar coated, and it doesn't have the impact that the Steven Spielberg movie had back in the 80s. It's just you know, oh, my dad is a pedophile and incestuous rapist, but song, and, and it just it's weird like that, and it goes through like that throughout the whole movie. Um, so everything is kind of just feels soft, and then we kind of seem to jump in spots where the narrative compared to the book and the movie, of course, the first movie, it just kind of seems to jump along and speed up. As someone said, this is the fast forwarded version. I think it was KB might have said that this is the fast forwarded version of the film, and I just said this is the kinder gentler version is the way that I personally put it. And yeah, so I couldn't really get into it, and it's not gonna be like one of my top movies of 2023 or anything, but it was fine. I will say this, that Danielle Brooks, who's pictured here playing Sophia, she was amazing. She was excellent. Best thing about the movie, by a pretty wide margin, actually, if you ask me. Taraji P. Henson was really good also. And even Fantasia Barrino wasn't bad. I didn't think she was great, but I didn't think she was bad. And of course, her saving grace is the just out of this world voice that she has. So that worked. She worked really well. And then you see a lot of name actors here. That was fun. Just seeing them on the screen. But 3 stars for me from The Color Purple. Uh, so enjoyable, not great, and definitely not on the level of the original movie. So that's all I have for you guys for the month of December. Overall, I thought it was a good movie month. A lot of my movies had high ratings, so I'm glad it turned out that way, and I finished off the year strong. Hopefully January will go just as well, and I will catch you in February to talk about that. In the meantime, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of these movies. Bye, guys.